All right, welcome. It is summer workshop series session number 2. And our session tonight is on the gut biome, which I'm really, really excited about because it's such a mysterious, strange thing. So what I want to start us off with today is a chart we use in school. And the chart is called the KLW chart. K stands for what we know. L stands for what we're going to learn, and W stands for what else we want to know. So know, learn, want to know. Okay. So before we get going on any of the content today, I'd love to know from you all, what do you already know about the gut biome, or what comes to mind when you think of the gut biome?
The most important thing for all the things inside.
It's important for the things
Things
inside.
for the things.
Like everything that happens throughout the rest of your body starts in your gut.
So it's sort of like your gut is like a central, like integrated part of your health,
Sure.
right?
Balance starts.
So yes, your gut biome influences your health. For
Influences.
sure.
Yes, thank you.
Good. Yes, your gut biome influences your health. What else have you heard about the gut biome?
Honestly, never heard that term.
Oh, all right. So when you signed up for the workshop, what was it that brought you in for that? Just that you had heard?
Gut.
Just gut.
It's stuff to gut.
Okay, cool. That's great. I love that.
So the biome is like how all the different stuff works together inside the gut.
All the different stuff in the gut. Yep.
And you need probiotics and prebiotics because antibiotics makes all the good stuff in the gut biome go away.
Yes, we're going to talk about probiotics, prebiotics, and antibiotics today. And all of those things do different things to your gut biome.
But it's pretty hard to figure out what's going on in someone's gut biome.
Very difficult to measure, indeed. Or difficult to define which one is healthy.
One what?
Like which type of gut biome, which bacteria. There's a lot we don't know. So the want to know category for me is going to be big today.
But does it vary from person to person
Yeah.
what's good?
And it's highly individualized, what works and what doesn't. Yep. Varies from person to person. Anything else that you think of when you think of the phrase gut biome, or any of the other words you've heard?
Serotonin.
Ooh, tell me about serotonin.
Serotonin, when it is a good level, my stomach is
Ooh, okay. So is when your serotonin is good, your stomach is good. So there's a relationship between mental health and gut health, and even like how your gut physically feels.
Yeah.
Like it gets like it knots.
No, like I typically just have, or not typically, I have just lower levels of serotonin. Or at least my body just doesn't produce the normal amount. And so when I didn't have the right amount, I was having like a lot of flare-ups. Like my stomach was just a lot more sensitive to all foods.
Yeah.
So
is
like
that biome?
what?
Is that the biome?
Yeah, I mean it's my gut, right? So like the biome reacts to whatever you're putting in it. So first the food breaks down with like acid and then it goes into the biome. And so my biome was reacting to whatever food was coming into it, was reacting negatively because of my serotonin. And it's just like you need to get all the bacteria leveled out, you also, hormones are a really big part of how your stomach functions.
Yeah, there's a big interaction between our guts and our brains. We're going to talk about that today, which is our cue to go into the learn section. So here's what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn some terms. We're going to learn terms like biome, bacteria, flora. We're going to learn terms. We're going to learn about the digestive system just in general. And we're gonna use our best friend, Miss Frizzle, to do so. She's bestie. We're gonna learn what sorts of things your gut biome does in your body. So the gut biome's functions. We are going to learn the relationship between your biome and other bigger systems in your body, like that overall health that you were mentioning, Tangi. It turns out that that's a big part of your body and your whole life. And then we're going to learn some different kinds of foods and how those foods might interact with your biome and how you can choose different foods to make different kinds of impacts on your gut biome.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this like kind of like like gassy, antacid?
Someone, yeah.
Bloated.
Yep.
Feeling all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Some of that stuff we'll touch on today. Some of that is like the antacid piece is more related to your stomach acid, but we can talk a little bit about how that might be part of what your gut biome is up to. Or
What's
might
the,
not
what's a
be.
like, I know your gut, but biome is a part of your gut or just a?
We're gonna,
protein?
yeah, we're gonna go through all the terms, but your biome, basically, if you think of like if you were gonna build a society on Mars, you would need a dome, right? Filled with all of the plants, animals, air that you need. That is a biome. And your gut biome is actually an entire ecosystem of 100 trillion microbes that lives inside of your gut. It is a whole world that lives inside of you, doing its own little miniature microscopic thing.
That's why I feel like there's aliens in there sometimes.
Right. There's like revolutions, things get uproarious, there's land grabs, there's civil wars. I don't know. They're going through some things.
Civil War for sure.
They're going through some things in the biome. There's been a big change in power.
It's the dairy farmers versus the vegans.
Exactly. It's getting spicy in there. And then we're gonna walk away today with some diagrams of things and some lists of foods that you're gonna make yourself. And then an action step. So just like last week, when we walked away with our nourishment menu and a thought about when we could apply that nourishment menu, this week we're gonna walk away with a goal, one small action that you might consider doing to support your gut health. Right. And then at the end, we're going to go through and talk about what we want to know. So we're going to learn all these things. And at the end, we're going to talk about missing pieces that we want to know and how we can kind of fill in the blanks or where we can learn more. Because we only have an hour and this is a huge topic. So there it is. All right.
Here we go.
First, let's define some terms. Are you ready? The first term we're going to define is gut bacteria. So gut bacteria is the bacteria, they're little living things that live inside of your small intestine that break down food into usable compounds, enzymes, nutrients, etc. Carbs, fats, proteins. Takes everything out of your food and makes it useful for you. So things go through your intestine walls into your bloodstream to travel around your body and do stuff. There are as many cells of bacteria in your gut as there are cells of humanness in your entire body. You have approximately 100 trillion cells makes your body. There's approximately 100 trillion microbes in your gut, bacteria microbes. It's pretty cool. All right, the next term we're going to do is microbiome. You may have also heard the word flora. Flora means plants. So it's the idea that there's these little growing living things that aren't necessarily animals.
So gross, right?
I know, it's the best. So nasty. So your microbiome or your flora, or what we might call your biome, is all of the microorganisms that live in your small intestine. Bacteria, archaea, viruses, fungi, also known as yeast, that live in your digestive tract. There is a whole ecosystem. They fight and eat each other. They keep each other in balance. I swear to God, this is all true. You didn't think it was going to be D&D tonight, but it is.
Did you guys know?
Lion and dragon.
This is really putting myself out there.
Yeah.
Did you know the small intestine and colon are the same thing?
The small intestine and the large intestine, the colon. are
Oh,
the
the
same thing.
large intestine. and colon.
Yes, the large intestine and the colon are the same thing.
I thought there was a small intestine, a large intestine, and a colon.
I just kind of wondered where the colon was.
The colon is the large
We were
intestine.
prepping for this and I was like, wait a second, let me Google here.
I thought the colon was at the end of the.
It's the end of it is the large intestine. So you have stomach, small intestine, colon or large intestine, boot, 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 poop. It is, it's the
It
large
is,
intestine.
the
Large
large
intestine is at the
intestine.
end.
But you just meant like the tip.
No, no, that is
Your colon is,
the
that's
end
why,
is
like,
your
when
anal
you get a
sphincter.
colonoscopy, they gotta.
Yep, they swim all the way up in there. That's why they have to put you out, because they have to go, it's long. It's long. All
Are you
right,
kidding? My dad's had several colon resections and I was like, I wonder what's happening with his large
I'm not
intestine.
saying, I learned something from this, so, like.
it can be anywhere in there, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
no, that's okay.
Didn't know that.
No, that's all right. Nooks and crannies indeed. The last word we're gonna learn is symbiotic. And that's SYMBIOTIC, symbiotic. There is a symbiotic relationship between us and the bacteria in our small intestine, our microbiome. They depend on us for sustenance, and we depend on them for life. Literally everything. Without a microbiome, we could not digest food, we could not regulate our bodies, we could not regulate our nutrition, we could not regulate our mood, we could not regulate anything. We would be extremely sick and die, which is why when you're on antibiotics, sometimes you feel really awful because antibiotics kill bacteria and they don't discriminate. All right, so now we're gonna do a little bit of a learning moment on the Magic School Bus. I'm so excited I love the Magic School Bus. I'm just gonna share my screen on Zoom real quick so that it records on the video. Share screen. We're gonna learn about microbiome. Yay. Who's seen the Magic School Bus? Who watched it as a child?
Watch magic.
I went out, played outside.
I read the books. Does reading the books count?
Reading the books counts. All right. You all ready? There we go.
Or the feeling there's more out there than just food and water. Whatever it is, it's in your back.
Ha!
There's nothing to worry about, just a little stomach acid. Digestion. We believe in breaking things down. We start with the raw material of the food, put it in the mouth, and use the finest teeth in the world to tear, grind, and crush it into pieces small enough to swallow. Then the food gets pushed down the esophagus line into stomach central, where we add acids and other chemicals to break the food down and dissolve it into a liquid. And that's only half what we do here at United Digestion. Then, when it comes to digestion, Arnold doesn't mess around.
You haven't seen anything yet.
You mean there's more? Mm-hmm. Oh, if this doesn't impress her, nothing will. How many more to go, Liz? One more and I break the school record for pens stuffed into a pocket protector. Arnold, it's like he's got a hole in his stomach.
Not a hole, Keisha. A valve. The doorway to his small intestine.
Yeah, well, it just won't. Why hasn't the gum been digested?
A few things are too tough to be broken up and dissolved.
Like school buses, right?
There's only one way to find out.
Where are we?
It looks like scuba world. Welcome to the small intestine, the next step in digestion.
The food's been dissolved, digested, whatever. What else is left to do?
As I always say, Ralphie, digested is not delivered. Anyone for a dip?
Go swimming in Arnold's digestive juice? Not me, no way. How was I supposed to know she'd have digestive juice scuba gear? Isn't this the coolest? Hey, where's the
Villi.
food? There's something on the food like this.
What? Where did it go?
Digestion. What we digest, we the liver. As the villi in the small intestine soak up the nutrients in the food. The nutrients are transferred to the bloodstream. And the bloodstream delivers the nutrients to all parts of the body. Because here at United Digestion, we believe in turning food into fuel.
All right, we're gonna stop there.
Bloodstream is
We could watch Magic School Bus for the next 45 minutes if we wanted. They sure are, as far as I recall. You can find this on YouTube if you're so inclined. Okay, so what are some thoughts that from the video that stood out to you? Things that you didn't expect to see, or
So your small intestine's absorbing nutrients,
Yep.
gathering large intestines, get rid of stuff.
Yes, so each step of your digestive system has different stages, and what we're gonna do is draw our own digestive system today. So if you recall
I know
from
that's
the
okay.
diagram that she drew, or maybe what you saw on Miss Frizzle's screen, we're gonna draw a stomach, a small intestine, and a large intestine. So I'm gonna tell you what each one does as we go. So first, let's draw the stomach. The stomach is full of stomach acid. Stomach acid does a lot of protective and important things. It not only breaks food down into smaller pieces so that it can be processed by our gut biome, but it also destroys a lot of viruses and microorganisms. Our digestive system is our first line of defense in our immune system, which is pretty cool. If you have an influx of acid or less space in your stomach for that acid, you can get acid reflux or heartburn. That can also be regulated by stress and other things. There's a strong connection between heartburn, acid reflux, and mental health, psychological health things such as stress, anxiety, depression, etc.
How do you absorb a lot of acid, like more acid than your stomach already makes?
Right. So your stomach creates acid, and if there's too much acid, it will travel. There's nowhere for it to go except up. So it goes up, and that's how you get heartburn. And
So is the
reflux.
acid coming from the food or coming from your
it's coming from your stomach.
stomach? Like your
Mhm.
stomach is making too much acid.
Yes, for various reasons, your stomach might make too much acid. There's not a ton of reasons that I know of. There's a lot of reasons doctors know of, but some of them can be stress and anxiety, like a fight or flight, like cortisol levels, a lack of, sometimes your stomach, your body perceives that you're not processing food very well, so it will secrete more acid because it thinks it needs that to break the food down better, but you may already have a ton of acid in there. One of the things that I personally experienced is I had a condition called small intestine bacterial overgrowth, where my gut biome was out of balance and the bad bacteria overgrew so much that it grew up through that valve that you saw in the Magic School Bus into my stomach, which pushed the stomach acid up through into my throat, which is how I got terrible reflux. But through eating the right foods and the right medications, I was able to bring that bacteria back down and have a more balanced biome.
When you said like you're tricking your body into eating and it starts to create acid, like because it thinks it needs to break it down. Gum gives me like the most acidic and worst of stomach aches. And I think it's I used to think it was because you were sucking in air
Mhm.
when you're chewing gum. But I think it's actually you're tricking your body into thinking it's getting food.
So it's preparing to digest
It's
things.
preparing to digest things
Mhm.
and so create acid reflux.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone ever has that.
Yeah.
from chewing gum, but I do not chew.
Not you.
I get terrible acid reflux from sugar for whatever reason. I think the foods that I eat that have a lot of sugar in them don't require a lot of acid to break down. So there's all this
Yeah.
excess acid that, like, it doesn't take a lot of acid to break down a cupcake versus
Right.
like a carrot, you
Right.
know? So, yeah, so the first place in our journey is the stomach, where acidity breaks down food and destroys lots of bad microorganisms before they get into our body. So it's part of our immune system too. The next one, you can draw like your swirly whirlies or however feels special to you, is your small intestine. This is our star of today.
Star of the show.
Yeah, your small intestine does so much. It holds the flora or the microbiome or what the ecosystem that I was talking about earlier. And that ecosystem of a ton of different strands of bacteria, yeast, viruses, archaea, all work together to break down your food into usable things. So we talk a lot about macros because we're a gym. This is where your body takes that protein shake and extracts the protein out of the protein shake through the villi, which you saw the little squiggly guys. It extracts it until it's small enough that it can pass through that tissue and into your bloodstream to go be used in your muscles to build your muscles. This is where your body takes those carbs that you're eating and grabs them, process them into blood sugar, into maybe storage as fat, into something that we use to provide energy and calories for your cells to break down to use to keep you awake and energized. This is where your body grabs the vitamin A and D and C and E from a sweet potato and uses it, pulls it into the bloodstream and distributes it for your health, or potassium, or salt. So this is where the magic happens, is in the small intestine. Your biome is highly individualized to you. There's literally hundreds of thousands of strands and different types of bacteria. Some are good and some are bad, but a whole different range can live inside of you. So if you think about somebody who is from Alabama, might have a very different gut biome than somebody who's from San Francisco. Like, who knows about sourdough bread? You know why San Francisco sourdough bread is so famous?
Something with the ocean, the air.
Yeah, there's yeast in the air that's specific to that ecosystem of the coast. And that yeast, that it breaks down more sour, which creates that really sour San Francisco sourdough bread. Here you can have your own sourdough that you make from the yeast that's floating around the air, but it might not be as sour as San Francisco because it's a different strand, different things in different places. So you can be from Alabama and have a different gut biome than someone from Colorado. You can be a different gender and have a different gut biome than someone else. You can be diabetic and have different gut biome than someone else. So all of these things interact together. Studies on probiotics and the right strands of bacteria to put in your body to strengthen your biome are pretty unregulated. There isn't like a consistent strand that's always studied. They just call it probiotics. There's lots of different bacteria in that. And most of the studies are done on animals. So there isn't a ton of clear studies on exactly which probiotic is the right probiotic for you. So what we encourage you to do as your coaches is to try something and track it for a month and see if you feel a difference. It might be that your gut biome needs that bacteria, and it might be that your gut biome does not. Just like if we introduced a new fish into a fish tank, that fish might do really well in that fish tank, or it might get eaten by another fish. Depends on what else is in the fish tank. And it's really, really hard to study. As Jenny talked about in what we already know, it's really, really difficult to study and measure people's gut biomes and all the things that are in there because they're teeny tiny, hard to get at. So what do the bacteria do? They ferment undigested nutrients down to those usable compounds. They attack harmful bacteria and yeast overgrowth to maintain that healthy ecosystem.
This is what good bacteria does?
This is what your gut biome does in your small intestine. They regulate your immune response. So in fact, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So a huge component of your immune system is in your gut, 70%. This is where if a virus comes in your mouth from breathing and gets down into your digestive system, or if there's salmonella on your food and it goes in your digestive system is your first line of defense to kill those things in the stomach and in the small intestine. Gut biome has also been shown to regulate energy. So how energized you feel versus how fatigued you feel. And it also, some new studies are coming out that show that it may impact your mood, your behavior, your cognition, and even your body composition. So Dom, you asked about bloat earlier. Bloat is definitely related to where your gut biome is at, if that's the source of the bloat. For women, we have other sources of bloating that do occur. So if you have chronic bloat that is digestive in nature, that means that the bacteria in your body is off-putting a lot more gas. It's not being processed. And that's what's creating that bloat, and that's not good. So that could be from a lot of things, and we'll talk about how to manage some of that. All right, questions on that piece? I know I should have told you, Tangie, that this is going to be the gross night. You're looking faint.
No, it's good. Just tired.
Yes, it's a Monday. I hear you. All right, the last part of our journey is your large intestine or your colon.
Hey.
They're the same thing. This guy is bigger, and really what the colon does is as things get absorbed in your small intestine, they start the leftover stuff that isn't absorbed, like fiber and things that are hard for your body to digest, get sort of packed together in the large intestine and suctioned out as much hydration as is healthy for you. So a part of the way that your body hydrates itself from food and water is in the large intestine. It takes that hydration out, which is why you might eat like a watermelon and poop a solid brown thing, because your body sucked all of the hydration out of that watermelon and created something more solid. And this is sort of our last stage of nutrient absorption as well. So your large intestine can do the last sort of stages of pulling out the last remaining nutrients from what you eat.
So the water comes out?
Yes, your large intestine absorbs the water into your body as hydration.
The water from the food.
The water from the food and the water that you drink, all of it. You need that water in your stomach because it helps things move around with the stomach acid, and you need it in the small intestine because it helps things move around and starts to slowly get absorbed as well. And water is a great vehicle for distributing things. It's like you put an element in the water and you shake it up, it distributes, right? So water is a great tool for distributing things to your body. That's why we need hydration, which if you have more thoughts about hydration or questions, I would encourage you to come to August 12th where we talk about electrolytes. We're going to talk about hydration and dehydration and how to keep your body hydrated and why water isn't always enough.
So if I'm not, sorry, I'm getting a little gross here.
Let's
but-
get gross.
So if you don't have very much hydration to pull out of your food, then your poop is hard.
So that's a good question. So your body pulls out the hydration it needs. So if you're hydrated and your body isn't super dehydrated and thirsty, it's just going to pull out what it needs, and then your poop will be pretty normal. If you eat only potato chips and no water, you will probably be constipated. Or if you, and because especially because one of the
There's
things,
no water to, not only no water to pull out of it, but it'll suck it dry.
Mhm, and the salt,
Get as much water as it can out of it, and then it'll be left with nothing, and that's why you get like the really hard poop.
yeah,
Hard food ball.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that happens is there's also, because it's not as simple as how hydrated you are as whether or not you have diarrhea or constipation. It's more complicated than that. But one thing that's really interesting is it also depends on how quickly your intestines are moving things along. So if your intestine is moving things along really quickly, it's less time for it to harden up. Your stool might be a little looser. If your intestine is what's called low intestinal motility, So when your large intestine isn't moving things along very quickly, it stays in there longer, and the longer it stays in there, the more moisture gets sucked out, and that leads to constipation. And low motility can come from things like stress, other diseases,
Metabolism?
syndromes. Not really metabolism as far as I know. It's literally a like motion, like the muscular motion of your intestines, scooching things along.
So what can you do to help with that?
You can talk to your doctor. I unfortunately am not a intestinal motility expert. I just know that it exists and what it does.
Well, one of the problems I have, I know a lot of people have, my routine changes
Mm-hmm.
anytime. I just don't. And I just wonder if I'm stressed, not, you know, but my body is
Yeah.
stressed.
And then
So
affects your
then it
motility.
slows down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's nothing I can do to change that. Just
Yeah.
diet.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that happens in a fight or flight response is your body floods with adrenaline and cortisol, and it does a few things. It increases your blood pressure, it increases your reaction time, it decreases your hunger, and it decreases your intestinal motility because it's getting ready for you to fight, and you don't want to have to take a poop during a fight for your life. So it turns your digestive system kind of off, or turns down the volume on your digestive system. So stress will lower your intestinal motility. And then,
How it goes, but it's certain.
yeah. And there's a lot of other things that happen. So one of the things we haven't talked about yet is fiber and how fiber plays into this. We'll talk about that. We will also talk a little bit about the gut body connection, or the gut brain connection. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. It's the gut brain connection, because Charlene gave us the most perfect segue. So last time we met, I talked about how much dopamine is synthesized in your intestine, and actually flipped the numbers between dopamine and serotonin. So I'm going to clarify that now. So dopamine is the happy hormone that makes you want to keep doing something. It's linked to addiction. It's linked to motivation. It's linked to like that happy, like giddy feeling. More than 50% of the dopamine in your body is synthesized in the intestine by your microbiome. It's actually an enzyme that is broken down by a gut bacteria. And when that enzyme is broken, it comes from food. And when it's broken by the bacteria in your body, it creates dopamine that goes into your bloodstream and up into your brain to be used. More than 90% of your serotonin is produced in your intestine, which is so interesting when you were talking about the relationship between serotonin and how your stomach feels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Because a lot of your serotonin comes from your gut.
yeah, 90% of your serotonin is produced by your intestine.
Yeah, I had stomach problems for years, and Niall was the one that had found online something that I should look into getting on an antidepressant, and it like.
Right? It's amazing. It's amazing how your brain and your body work together. Serotonin is that safety, love, and acceptance hormone. It's that feeling that you have when you are being hugged by someone who makes you feel really safe and loved. So it's not that like giddy, happy, like, yeah, let's keep doing this. It's more of that like calm, content, safe, good, glowy feeling. And it's produced, 90% of it is produced in your gut. Serotonin levels are linked to irritable bowel syndrome. They're also linked to heart disease and osteoporosis. So serotonin does a lot in your body. So if your gut microbiome is doing its job to create that serotonin effectively, it's actually really good for your overall holistic health.
No, it was just the only thing I hadn't done at that point. Like, all I knew is that my stomach was inflamed. And yeah, no, it was just the one. I had tried all the stomach meds and there was no explanation. So I went to a psychiatrist and I told him about my stomach. And then I went home on that.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
But yeah, I feel like that is, to your question, Charlie, like I feel like there's a lot of like missing links, it seems like a gastroenterologist doesn't talk to a psychiatrist, or like they didn't learn that in med school, and so they don't know to make those connections.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until I got in front of a psychiatrist that they were like, oh yeah, this will be great for you. It's like, cool.
You're like, I would have never thought to ask a psychiatrist about my stomach problem.
Yeah.
100%. And if you take nothing else from today, it's that the relationship between your gut and the other aspects of your health, immune system, mental health, bone health, heart health, all of it is all intertwined. Another thing that your gut does that impacts your brain really is this is one that's very evidence-based and proven in science. There is a 4-chain fatty acid called butyrate. That's Butyyrate. And it has been shown to reduce anxiety and depression, and it is only created in your small intestine. And then the last, yeah, butyrate, Butyyrate. It
What is
reduces,
it?
it's a 4-chain fatty acid.
It reduces.
It reduces anxiety and depression. And then the last really cool thing that I found in research that I wanted to talk about, there's a billion things. Again, this has been, there's so many connections between your gut and your rest of your body, but scientists haven't figured out how it all works yet. But this one I thought was really interesting. There are microorganisms in your gut biome that activate your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is the nerve that runs from your gut to your brain. It is the nerve that activates when we take deep, slow belly breaths. So, in breath work or meditation, we take those really deep, slow breaths. We are activating, we're literally running our diaphragm up and down the physical nerve, the vagus nerve, which helps create regulation and calmness. There are microorganisms in your gut biome that also do that by activating your vagus nerve, which is really cool and creepy.
Does that have anything to do with the vasovagal?
Yes, your vasovagal reaction, the word vagal in there was reference to your vagus nerve. Yep. Your vagus nerve regulates calmness, so it regulates blood pressure, heart rate. A vasovagal reaction is when your brain and heart decide that you're going to faint, and the vagus nerve reduces your blood pressure and your heart rate down super low, which lowers the amount of blood getting to your brain, which is why you faint. And the vasal part is that your veins all dilate and get really big, which also lowers your blood pressure. So that is the big
So
thing.
are there foods that we can eat to activate the vagus nerve?
I'm not sure there are foods that we can eat that activate the vagus nerve. There might be. Didn't research that, but I know there are foods that we can eat that will activate and help your gut biome, which will touch and tickle your vagus nerve.
What's that other things you do with your face to help the vagus nerve?
Yeah, the vagus nerve runs through and innervates pretty much this whole part of your body in the center. Yeah, there's lots of things you can do.
This is making me really want to only eat foods that make my stomach feel good.
Well, let's get there. Let's talk through that. So let's talk about what are some things that happen when your gut biome is not healthy or not happy, and then we'll talk about foods that can maybe help with that. Praying to the porcelain god. Let's talk about that. When you got food poisoning, you probably were exposed to a virus called norovirus. Norovirus is a virus that creates food poisoning in your body. It is a virus. And what it does is it goes into your stomach on your food. Your stomach acid isn't sufficient all the time to kill that virus. And when it hits your small intestine, your microbiome says, oh no, hell no, because it needs to get rid of this thing, but it doesn't have the capability to actually attack and destroy the virus itself. So it literally ejects the virus from your body. So it triggers an immune response, which makes you vomit and have diarrhea because it is ejecting that virus from your body before it can spread throughout your bloodstream.
But what about food base?
It is food. Norovirus is on food.
But does food create the norovirus?
It lives on food. It travels all over the place.
Because I think I ate bad food, like.
Bad food
I
typically is
drink-
bad because there's norovirus on it.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I looked at the asparagus and it's like, this asparagus is old and I should not eat it, and I did anyway.
The other things that can grow on bad food as food breaks down are bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli. And E. coli and Salmonella can also give you food poisoning. It's the same thing. Your body, your gut biome, the little microorganisms in your small intestine see them coming and go, not today. and send them back out where they came from
It's
before they
actually
get in your
an
blood.
Immune response.
It is absolutely an immune response. It is keeping you from
It's
getting
a
that
very
virus and that
uncomfortable
bacteria.
one.
Yeah, it's keeping that virus, that bacteria from getting through those villi from the video and into your bloodstream where they can do a lot of damage. So that is how one of the ways that your gut biome is part of your immune system. All right, so dysregulation of flora. Many of these are implied things based on what we know your biome does. Some of them have not been studied directly and in depth. There's always more studies going on, but there's a lot we don't know. But we suspect that dysregulation of your gut biome can contribute to autoimmune disease, infections, ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome, mood disorders, fatigue, unplanned weight changes, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, which is what I had, and bloat, like Dom mentioned.
So I actually don't know if my stomach is fucked up. Sorry. My gut biome is not regular,
Very nice.
thus it throws off my mood, or my mood throws off my gut biome.
And it may be impossible to know which, if
Yeah.
it might be a bi-directional relationship.
Well, I could like fix my diet and it could maybe heal me,
Maybe,
you know?
yeah.
But it's one of those things where I feel like that's where modern medicine is super helpful. Cause like, I mean, to live like perfectly healthy body is really freaking hard to do.
Especially in
without
our
medicine.
society.
Yeah.
What I would say as we talk about this next part, which is food and how we manage some of these symptoms with food, is to consider that food is medicine. What you put in is what you get out. And the formula for gut health is the same as the formula for overall health. So we are pretty healthy people. We know the formula for overall health is fruits and veggies, whole unprocessed foods, foods with ingredients we can read and pronounce, movement, hydration, stress management, sleep, all those kinds of things, mental health supports. All of those things that support our overall health are the same things that support gut health. So your gut is a nice indicator sometimes of where things might be lacking. But as you were talking about, Carrie, I think we don't know enough to know if that relationship between your serotonin and your gut health is in one direction causal or if it's bidirectional a relationship. And I imagine it's probably bidirectional,
Yeah.
that the two influence each other.
Mhm.
Okay, so this food part I've been taking a long time to get to because it's highly individualized. And I don't want you to walk away thinking, Shani gave me the magic food recipe for my gut, because I'm not going to do that. You have to try things and see how your unique biome reacts. One person's biome might be a coral reef ecosystem, and another person's biome might be the African savanna. And if I stick a koala in one of those, it's not going to do as well as in the other.
Or like the coral reef off the coast of Australia,
The Great Barrier Reef.
the Great Barrier Reef versus the Florida Keys.
Right. It could be very
Totally
similar, but
different
not the
biome.
same. Totally different biomes. Could be very similar, but not the same.
Sorry, I'm having
One of those has invasive lionfish and the other one doesn't.
It's so true.
So true. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is prebiotics. So if you've ever heard the term prebiotics are things that they're carbs that your body cannot digest or that take effort for your microbiome to work on. And what they do is they promote bacterial growth, because when you have prebiotics in your body, the bacteria need to beef up to work a little harder. They're going to their own little gym.
So
They're getting-
carbs that your body cannot break down.
Yep, fiber is the fancy word for that.
It promotes
Bacterial growth. And sometimes you want bacteria. It
Good.
promotes bacterial growth. So sometimes you want bacterial growth, and sometimes you have plenty of bacteria.
You don't need no more growth.
And you don't need no more growth, like me. And when I had small intestine bacterial overgrowth, I did not need more bacteria at that time. Again, highly individualized. Probiotics are the good bacteria strains themselves. So when you see acidophilus or lactobacillus on the side of your yogurt container, those are actual living bacteria in your food. Fermented dairy is the only true probiotic. It is the only thing that actually has living strands of bacteria that also live inside of us. But there are other fermented foods that are supportive to your bacterial health, like kimchi and sauerkraut. You may have seen probiotic supplements. It's outside of my scope to recommend or not recommend those, but you are welcome to talk to your doctor if you think you should
What do you guys?
take probiotic supplements. Many doctors prescribe probiotic
Antibiotic.
supplements to counteract antibiotics.
Oh, the good belly.
Oh, good belly, that's what
Yeah.
you get.
Those are probiotic, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
so, well, one thing that we see a lot of doctors doing is prescribing probiotics to counteract the negative impacts of antibiotics on your gut. Because antibiotics will come in, and many antibiotics are kind of targeted to a range or a strand of bacteria, but there's a lot of sort of species of bacteria within that genus. It's like they're literally like little animals. And so that antibiotic will take out that whole genus, and some of those are good and some of them are not. Like the E. coli bacteria has a sister bacteria that's essential for human life. But the E. coli one is dangerous.
If you're taking an antibiotic.
Many doctors will recommend a probiotic with an antibiotic.
Not at the same time. Not like don't, at 6 o'clock in the morning, you don't take.
Oh, and thing. What
Yeah.
I was wondering is, and I don't know that you necessarily know the question to answer this, but I was wondering, because like I've gone through phases of like, I'll drink a probiotic drink every day, like the same drink, or I've gone through phases of like, I'm gonna have yogurt every day, or I've gone through phases of I'm gonna have, whatever the brand of probiotics I got from the store is, and then I'm like, I'm gonna switch it up because I mean, just like on the other food, I feel like my body gets used to it and then maybe isn't benefiting from it anymore. But I don't know if that's the case with a probiotic. Like, does your body adapt to it and then is no longer absorbing the good bacteria from it? Or
So-
is it too much good bacteria?
So your body doesn't really absorb bacteria. Your body is really just a dome that it lives in, like the dome on Mars. So if you think about like if you were populating an ecosystem and it was an African savanna and you added zebras and then you kept adding zebras and zebras and zebras and you just were only adding zebras, your body would probably be like, this is enough zebras. Let's add something else. Right? So what's really important with probiotics is really that you eat food that's going to feed the biome that you have. So if you have an African savanna, send food that's going to feed that
You don't need to
biome.
necessarily add more to that.
There aren't studies that indicate that that's essential for health, unless you have some sort of biome deficiency because of an antibiotic that's killed all of your zebras.
Got it.
And then maybe
It
you
might
need to
be
add
like
some
something
zebras.
you need to do like for a just finite amount of time.
Potentially. The studies that they have done have not specified which strands they're using, and they mostly do them on animals, and then they look at stool consistency. The only real way to test if your probiotic is impacting your gut biome is to do a endoscopy where they go in and they remove part of your gut biome and study it under a microscope, and ain't nobody gonna do that for science. It's too invasive. So there isn't a lot that's really conclusive about that. But I would say whatever your gut biome is, the best thing you can do is to keep sort of a food journal of trying
Yeah.
something and
try
see.
giving a probiotic a certain one for a
Mhm.
month.
Yeah.
And see how you feel.
Or
on it.
trying like fiber, like a prebiotic, or maybe trying more green vegetables or trying less alcohol. So things that can impact or grow harmful bacteria or overgrow bacteria in your body are things like cheap energy, which is like sugar and processed foods, or dairy, gluten, alcohol, saturated fats, common allergens, things that you're allergic to. So everyone has different food allergies and food sensitivities because our gut biome is built differently. Again, if you put a koala in the Great Barrier Reef, it's not going to do well. Maybe your body and your biome doesn't do well with a certain food. Who's got that? Who's got a certain food, a group of foods that your body just does not do well with? Right? For me, for some reason, I can't explain, it's bananas. Bananas make me feel terrible.
Bananas?
defensively. Yeah, bananas. I don't know why.
It's the stomach ache.
Yeah,
Bananas?
for some reason, right?
I don't like bananas either.
They just make me feel terrible. I don't know. And then my doctor has me not eating certain ones that trigger more stomach acid because I have those things going on too. Alcohol is a big one. Alcohol is a toxin. So your little gut biome, your little micro guys in there are like, they're not doing super great with alcohol. And then it's very, very small. So it does permeate into your bloodstream very quickly and then into your brain and do things like make you drunk. And then hydration in general, staying hydrated really helps your gut biome. Staying hydrated helps there be room for everybody to live harmoniously inside of your small intestine. So you're gross and tangy out. I love this. Okay, so what I'd like you to do at this point is we have just a few more minutes. Take a minute to reflect back on what we talked about. Think about one thing that you could do to protect or improve your gut biome or your gut health, whether it's doing a food journal and trying something, whether it's trying to reduce one of those harmful things like common allergens, alcohol, gluten, saturated fats, cheap sugar, processed food things. Is it increasing your fiber? Is it increasing fermented foods, specifically dairy fermented foods? It would be like yogurt and kefir and stuff. So think about something you might want to do. And while you're thinking about that, you're probably like, I don't really know all the things I need to know. So at the very end, we're gonna fill in our last what I want to know more about piece of our diagram. And I hope you've enjoyed drawing your own gross little digestive system today. So let's take a few minutes, think about what's one goal you could try. And then let's talk about what else you might want to know.
I'm gonna have to leave in a couple of minutes.
Yes. We have 2 minutes. So good. Low blow.
Imagine how I feel.
My phone, my Apple Watch is already in sleep mode.
Yeah.
I no longer
Like-
receive notifications.
Mine goes into sleep mode at like 8 something.
Mine goes in at 7:30.
We wake up at I wake up at the same around. My alarm goes off at 4. I don't actually get up.
All right. Any goals you want to share? Things you want to try? Maybe figuring out what foods benefit your biome and what
I
ones do.
never put food same category as medicine. So I think that's something I could be a little more aware of how it's like you said, I don't know, I kind of like that medicine being the food thing.
Yeah, food is medicine.
Yeah.
It's like a paradigm shift,
So
right?
if I eat like a candy,
That's right. It's very bad medicine. Yeah, nice. I like
but
that.
I think that's what I'm gonna be a little more conscious.
All right, Dom's gonna be conscious that food is medicine. What else?
I'm gonna try and do a food log with writing down how I'm feeling.
Ooh, okay, a food log with
Because
writing
I've
down how you're
heard that,
feeling.
that if I'm bloated in the morning, it's probably what I ate the day before.
Potentially.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So if you don't write down what you ate the day before, then you won't know what's causing the bloating. All right, interesting. Okay, I like that. A food log for Jenny. What about y'all on the couch?
I'm gonna eat a variety. Oh, sorry.
No, you.
A variety of prebiotics,
All
so I
right.
can grow different bacteria.
Nice.
Grow more different.
So what you gonna
The
do?
more fiber.
So it'll
Just
be,
more of a variety of veggies, because I pretty much eat like the same veggies. Like a romaine lettuce, cucumbers, that sort of thing. So, like eating more, I don't know, like we've been eating more cabbage. Now mom uses a lot of cabbage in foods. Just different colors, different fibers.
Yeah.
Basically just different types of fruit and veggies. I eat apples every day, like change it to blueberries or oranges.
Or if there are whole grains that you eat, like
Yeah.
brown rice, flax,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. whole wheat,
Flax is a good
depending
one.
on your gluten relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just started adding flax to my smoothies and I'm wondering how I'll feel in a couple weeks.
That's toasted.
We'll see.
Flax makes me very nauseous.
All right, no flax for Tangi,
Psyllium does that to me.
no psyllium for Jenny. Different
Psyllium.
things. Psyllium husk is a source of fiber. It's like a
Oh.
mussel.
Yes.
Don't call it Metamucil.
That's what it's made of. I'm sorry.
Psyllium husk is gross, man. It
It's
absorbs.
the first thing they tell you to take.
I know, no, I know. It absorbs the water and it gets all like, because it's water loving fiber. rather than-
Hydrophilic.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
just-
Chia seeds are another good source.
Yeah,
Popcorn,
don't chia seeds do that blah, 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 blah thing too?
They do.
they do indeed.
I don't mind it as much. Jeez.
Tapioca pearls, just straight up. Boba. Tangy and Char.
I want to find out more about prebiotics too, see how they would help like that, so. I want to learn more. I know I've taken prebiotics when I've taken probiotic or antibiotics. But
Probiotic.
no, when I've had to take antibiotics,
You're taking probiotic.
I take pre and probiotics.
Okay, take a combo pill.
No, just two different ones.
Oh, okay.
And so it would be interesting to see what happens to take the pro and prebiotics, not taking antibiotics.
Well, you gotta try all the
Didn't we have to do
200
that?
different kinds.
Not the prebiotics, just the pro, and I still do the probiotic every day. What was that?
Well, there's all the different kinds of ones too.
I know.
So do a different brand each month.
Too overwhelming. It took me like a long time to eat probiotics, so.
Well, since you've been taking a probiotic for so long, why don't you just try a prebiotic? Because to Shani's point, like she was saying, you only need so many zebras and then you gotta make the savannah grow. So like maybe pause on the probiotic and just focus on prebiotic. You know,
See
that's my
what
opinion.
things grow. I wrote try different strands of bacteria. So if you've been taking the same probiotic for a long time, it might be worth trying a different probiotic just to see how you feel. Again, everyone's biome is different. One probiotic might work for you, another one won't. We don't know.
What do you mean by long time? Is 6 months a long time or is 3 months a long time?
That's a great question. I was thinking like,
I feel like 6
yeah,
months.
I think 6 months is a pretty
6
long time.
months?
If you're
And
not
then-
seeing results, I would say 3 months is a long time if you're not seeing results.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I
It
think it's
is
plenty of time.
hard to keep everything else the same.
Right.
And just change one thing for 3 months.
Right, very true. I also wrote investigate more about the relationship between prebiotics, probiotics, and antibiotics. Because prebiotics feed bacteria. It's what they do. So I don't know how that works in relationship to antibiotics. I don't know enough about it. All right, Charlene, and then we're done.
I've been on the food journey for like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Experimentalists.
Yeah.
And change. There were some things that like prebiotic, something over the counter like drinks, there's too much fiber and they make me bloated, so I don't do them. Probiotics, I don't know if they make any difference. I've taken them. I don't take them every day, I've taken them.
It's a pretty much it too.
Those sodas, prebiotics, and they just have too much flavor.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like poppy.
oh, those are pre? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's other ones like that.
And fiber will make you bloated
Yeah.
because it's hard for your body to digest. So it's
Yeah.
putting off more gases to build more things.
I've had, because at one point, I think before I realized I had a dairy issue, I was trying to get more fiber. That just turned into a nightmare.
Yeah.
Too much fiber just,
Well, I wonder if it was kind of like Shani's situation where she was eating too much fiber.
yeah, yeah, too much fiber.
Yeah.
Well, and what I learned is there's a specific chain of saccharides that I can't eat because it triggers my microbiome to overgrow. They're called FODMAPs. And some people have that. A lot of people with IBS should be low FODMAP or try low FODMAP. It's not a sustainable diet fully, but I have low FODMAP adjacent things in my diet. Like there's certain things I never eat, like onions and garlic, I never eat because they trigger bacterial overgrowth in me. My biome's just irritable.
Mhm.
But I
Sensitive.
added cheese in the last month,
Mm.
because and I grounded all the seeds. I never ate seeds because they're seeds.
Right.
But I ground them and now it's like a carb. Like I throw it on salad. I put it in my protein shake. Like,
And that
Is it
is,
helping?
so it's interesting.
it was because
It's so hard to tell what's
probably wasn't
healthy.
getting enough fat in my diet. So
Mm.
that was kind of the recommendation.
But it's interesting that the seeds probably offer you quite a bit of fiber, but in a different way.
Yeah.
With that counterbalance of fat.
Yeah. But
So interesting.
Yeah, like as opposed to like eating.
The straight fiber.
Yeah, like raw veggies definitely can leave you bloated, whereas like
Raw
cooked
veggies,
veggies, like in oil with
Yeah.
fat around it.
Exactly.
Something
I think
got
my
better.
problem is a big fish. 3
Right.
days property.
Yeah.
So what I put on here
See,
is fiber and biome and perimenopause, maybe learning more about that. Because you've been on that journey, and then also ground up seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's our KLW for the night.
thanks, Shani.
It's been an hour. You're free.
thank you.
You guys are
That
the
was
best.
awesome.
Thank you.